One of the biggest mistakes I see early capital raisers make is that they're trying to speak to everyone, which means they're converting no one. The best fund managers that I know have a niche, and they're not trying to go to a broad audience. This is actually a live presentation I gave at our Fund Manager Mastermind earlier this year. Let's dive in. Hey, one more thing before we jump in. If you're a fund manager or capital raiser and you can already raise $1 million or more for a single offering and you're looking for an experienced sponsor who has multiple offerings you can bring to your investor community, I invite you to go to aspenfunds.us/fund manager to learn more about our program for fund managers and how to partner with us.
How much money per year do you want to make in order to feel like you made it? Somebody just give me a number. Like this is like from your capital raising business. How much would you like to be making a year to be like, man, I'm successful in this business? What is your number?
800 grand.
800 grand a year. What's your number?
Anything above zero.
500K really a year to feel like I'm really successful profit-wise as a capital raiser. Well, who else?
100 grand a month.
100 grand a month. Now we talking, she says. 100 grand a month. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else?
$1 million.
Seven figures to feel like you're really successful in this business. Awesome. I'm glad I don't have I was really worried somebody was going to ruin this, and be like $10 million. I'm like, you greedy SOB, All right, so let me show you some numbers, okay? I want to show you some math real quick on why I believe you really do not need a lot of investors in this business to be successful, okay? You need a niche. And if you can get really good in a niche, you can be very, very successful in this business. So this chart is cumulative capital raise. So you'll see here, the blue is cumulative, green is each year. So I would just say our average investor here at Aspen is about 180 grand right now. But for the most part, let's say your average investor is $100,000, right? So I'm just going to use that throughout this example of average investor $100,000. So that means if you're getting 50 investors a year, okay? That means you're raising $5 million every single year over the course of 10 years. Who is going to be in this business for 10 years? You're still going to be doing this in 10 years? Great. So this is a pretty good example, right? That's not too far out. You're probably going to be doing this in 10 years. You worked another job probably for longer than 10 years. So 10 years is pretty reasonable, right? It goes back pretty quick. So over 10 years, you'll have $50 million. And that's all you're doing is 50 investors every single year. So let me show you what this is. If you're making a 2% AUM fee or EUM fee on that money, all you're doing is just every year you're bringing in 50 new investors, $100,000. That's $5 million a year. At the end of 10 years, your annual fee is $1 million. Recurring. Over the course of 10 years, you've made $5.5 million of revenue. Now that's if you're implementing an annual, again, that's very reasonable. We have funds right now that will pay a fund manager 2% a year on the money that you have under management. Okay, so this is not made up. You can do this today. However, most of you are much smarter than this, and you're not just getting new capital every year. What's happening? You're building relationships. People enjoy working with you. If you're paying them income every single month, what are they going to do? Reinvest. Exactly. So let's say 25% of those people, 1 in 4 people, which is not very high, okay, reinvest with you. So you have a 25% reinvestment rate over that 10-year cycle. So that means over a 10-year term, instead of 50 million, your cumulative AUM is now 106 million, okay? And look at this. Everybody who spoke would be considered successful because your annual fee is now $2.13 million. The total amount of revenue you've made over the 10-year period is almost $10 million. Convinced? Would everybody agree you've done pretty well over 10 years? Would everybody agree that 50 investors a year is pretty doable for everyone in this room? Yeah? So my point is as you get better and as you grow in a track record and as you have more success, you will dwarf these numbers. You won't raise $5 million a year. The riches are in the niches. I'll give you some examples. This is Tate, who his team, Brittany is in the room. Tate is an airline pilot. Who's he fly for?
Hawaiian Airlines.
Hawaiian Airlines. Okay, no one even flies Hawaiian Airlines except, and so it's doable. You know what I'm saying? So to show you that this is doable, Tate is a great example. So his first year, Tate raised $235,000 his first year. Last year, Tate raised $42 million in a single year. In total today, over the course of from 2020, so he's only 6 years in, he's well beyond pace, right? He's raised almost over $76 million and will raise, you guys are on a target to raise 100 million this year, right? That's between 70 and 100 million. So Tate's whole, look at his website, Turbine Capital. That is, I'm assuming, like the name of the engine, right? And then private investment, we have no idea, right? So
You're not
I'm not the audience, right? Private investments for pilots. I mean, that's his whole website. Like, he just raises money for pilots. So if a pilot is looking to place money in alternatives and they hear about Tate, do you think that creates more trust or less trust? Probably a lot. And then I didn't scroll down, you go on his website, he has like a set of like featured on Forbes or Inc. 5000 or whatever. He just has like pilots from Delta, Southwest invest with us. So I was like, that's brilliant, right? Because you're associating with your audience. So really, really great. Here's another man in the room, Dylan. So Dylan Reach. Dylan you were an eye specialist for most of your career, but also became an entrepreneur and built a business around that and exited that company. And so now his audience is not just physicians, but really folks who've kind of exited their companies, right? Who've had major exits. Why? Because Dylan can relate to that. He knows what that means and the responsibility of that and how to speak that language. And so this is his website, Dylan, in 2023. He started, never raised capital before, raised $1 million. Why? Because he's got wealthy friends, right? And so $1 million in his first year. The next year, he raised $11 million. Last year, he raised $26 million in a year. Total today, he's already at $50 million with a niche, not trying to go broad. The guy doesn't run Facebook ads, okay? So like, this is just his niche. And then this is another guy that we look up to and really respect a lot is Don Winter with DLP Capital. And I just called out, like, Don is very open about his faith, right? He's very passionate about his family. So deeply rooted in faith and family, devoted follower of Jesus and husband and father to 3 sons. Like any presentation you see with Don, he's talking about Jesus. And I think that's pretty cool, right? Because he has said from his platform that, like, I am about the kingdom and I want to work with other kingdom-minded people. And look at this guy's numbers. He has 4,000 investors, $700 million in total revenue, $5.5 billion of assets under management, right? And so to think that like you can't grow or get big by telling your story and having a niche is ridiculous, right? And so I think the reason I show you this first is because what I want to talk to you about today is you haven't narrowed enough. Most of you in the room have not narrowed enough on your niche. You're too broad. And if you really want to raise more money this year, like, go more narrow in terms of who you're speaking to and who you're serving. So what makes a good niche? One is, are they qualified to become your client? So just ask the question, like, let's use teachers, right? They're an amazing group of people that do an amazing work for our society that are well underpaid. So they should not who you serve. Here's a good quote. If you want to help poor people, start a nonprofit. Right? Like, that's the reality. And because I've said this a lot, because I was a pastor. This is my story. And people would come to me and be like, Ellis, I love your story. Man, I want to get in this business. I really want to help people. But, they just can't. Like, I really want to help teachers, or I really want to help people like, firefighters. And they're like, but they don't really have the money. I'm like, well, then pick a different niche, then start a nonprofit for them. Get rich and then go start a nonprofit. And so it's okay to, if you're passionate about serving a niche that aren't qualified, doesn't mean you can't serve them as a person. They're just not going to make a good investor, right? So the first question you ask is, are they qualified? Second thing that makes a good niche, are they easy to find? And here's a great example. Like, can you go right now, we're gonna do a test here in a minute, can you find is someone else already serving them? Meaning, like, are there other people that are already allocating resources, time, energy that are already gathering those people. And some of you might say, well, I don't want to go into a niche where people are already serving. That's so dumb, right? Because one we just saw, like you can separate yourself from your story. So you don't want to start a niche, right? Like you want to join into a growing niche where there's conferences and there's podcasts and there's YouTube channels that you can go and speak in front of, and then they'll come work for you. The thing, OPA, other people's audiences, that's leverage. Right? And so you want to make sure that there's audiences out there that are already formed that you can tap into. So, look and make sure. So these are some examples, right? This is White Coat Investor. I chose the physician niche for this example. There are podcasts, there are YouTube channels, there are events that you can go to if you're a physician and tap into immediately, right? They're already there. People are already gathering them. And the great thing is you don't have to spend money to build the niche. It's already built for you. You just need to get your story in front of them. What else makes a good niche? Are you interested in them? I think this is a really, really important one. Like imagine creating content for the next 10 years for this niche. Does that excite you or does that bore you? Can you imagine creating content for them? So let's do a live test. I want to get out of here for a minute and I want to pull some stuff up. You still see my screen? Great. Someone give me a niche that you'd like to go after. You're not sure if it's a good niche or not. Pro athletes. Sports Pro Investment Summit, where the business of sport meets the power of capital. So that's pretty cool. So there's one right there. Yeah, Athlete Investor Summit. So yeah, clearly there's Apple Podcast and type in, investor, athlete, and see what pulls up. From athlete to investors, here's a guy right here. Joe Pompanelli did a show called The Best Athletes Investor. Here's this guy, Jonathan Osborne. Anybody know who that is? I'm looking for who's already gathering audiences. Is it easy to find them? So seems like there's a lot of conferences. What I'm struggling with right off the bat is, are there enough aggregators of pro athletes already talking? Are there enough shows? Are there enough conferences? So we just found a family office that is speaking. Their whole thing is serving the athlete family office. And it looks like they have a YouTube channel. So 460 subscribers. So they're not a big player, but they're definitely doing it. So again, like this would be a place where, you could tell your story, right? That you would come in and this would be a stage in a sense where you would want to try and get on. So yeah, I think it's a decent, of course it's a decent niche. They have money. The question though, before like you're gonna go all in on this, is I think you need a little bit more research on how easy are they to find. Because if they hide behind family offices, it's gonna be much harder to go after. You want to try and speak directly, not to an agency or a family office. And so I think it's definitely they're qualified, definitely you're passionate about it. Are they easy to find?
Mine's military engineer, veterans.
I love that. So see what you did there? You went veterans, huge.
Yeah.
And he went military engineer veterans
That have executive jobs.
See what he did there?
Yeah.
How much did you raise last year?
I'd raise like 2 or 3 million.
Okay.
Nothing.
Oh, nothing. I only raised 2 or 3 million. You only need to raise 5 million a year. Like,
I don't even work for it.
you know what I'm saying? It doesn't even work very hard, I sent out an email. Oh, it's a lot of work. I love that. So I do think that's a really great example of like, how do we narrow the veteran conversation to something that is qualified, because like, what did you do in the military? What was your role, position? Military officer, investing advice. In some ways you could do this too. Instead of like looking for shows, is also just like who is already speaking to this audience. And then what I would do if I found someone I really liked, I've seen this guy before, from military to millionaire. Like, here's a way you can kind of hack this backwards. This guy has 173,000 subscribers. Again, I do think he's probably speaking to a lower income audience, but here is a tip, is if you find someone, like I would just search them, right? Because they've likely spoke at conferences. They've been on podcasts. So like if I take David Perry, I go to Apple Podcasts, and then I can go see all the episodes or all the shows that David has spoken on, right? And then I guess he's spoken at Presentacion David Diaz. Whoa, spicy, David. So like this is a good way to kind of go backwards, right? Is like a guy who's already serving my niche or a girl who's already serving my niche. Where are they speaking at? Where are they showing up at? If it's working for them, it can work for me. So it's kind of just a way to hack that. Once you determine, is my niche qualified? Who else is serving this niche? Do they have a show? Are they, where are they speaking at? And then you can begin to compile places for you to speak to. We spend a lot of money each month, $3,000 or $4,000 a month just to serve Overland Park investors, because it's a good area. And a lot of them don't have access to alternatives. And look at our office. Like, we have a cool office where they can come to. So we've been doing monthly happy hours to just serve accredited investors here in Overland Park. We've raised $3 million so far since when did we start that? We raised $3 million?
6 months ago.
I guess it's working, like.
So how do you do that locally? If you're doing for your local thing, how did y'all do it?
So super simple, man. So I had an ad agency team that I was paying $1,500 a month to run ads for us. And then I was like, once they built the structure, I let them go. My marketing operations manager, she's in the Philippines. She now runs our ads, and it's just a video of me, or I get our graphic designer to create some graphics, and we just run targeted ads to Kansas City, and we just call it out. Accredited investor meetup, and it's a form. They see an ad, they click the form, they fill out the form. Allie calls and follows it up. Hey, we qualify them. Are you accredited? Yes or no. If no, unfortunately, you can't come to this event. If so, great. We look forward to having you. Hear the details. And we run that ad for 2 weeks. We spend about $2,000, and we have 20 folks show up every time, like clockwork. How to turn your niche into leads. So once you've identified your niche, how do you actually turn that niche into folks that want to work with you? And my worry in this presentation is that it feels basic, but I just hope that that resonates, that this is not rocket science. The reason I was like, I want this event. We're not going to talk about our concierge team, which we have a whole concierge team that does all our subscription documents. The only thing we're talking about this event is how to attract and win clients. Because where most of you are at in raising about $1 to $10 million a year right now, the only thing you really need to be focused on is getting more leads. That's it. That is the lifeblood of your business. And so this is a hopefully not over basic presentation, because I just want your focus from now until the end of the year is just this. I promise you. And so it's how to get more leads, lead magnets. So Alex Hormozy says a lead magnet is this is very important, a complete solution to a narrow problem. I'm going to tell you why that is important. Because everyone in this industry is doing the exact opposite. They are creating an incomplete solution to a very large problem. Let me give you an example. A passive investing ebook. How many of you have to raise your hand? At least one of you have a passive investing ebook, I promise you. I know you do. Because I see all your stuff. Terrible. Why? Because it doesn't solve anything. It's so broad, most people don't read it, and everyone has it because it's easy to create. Does that make sense, the difference between a complete solution? I'm gonna give you some examples, but why this is important, because everyone else is doing the opposite. They're just like, what sounds good? Well, everyone wants to know about passive investing or a multifamily investing ebook or download, right? It solves, it almost it really truly solves nothing. It just kind of educates someone. So let me give you some great examples. Here's what a lead magnet also does. Here's what it should do. It's think about it, a lead magnet like a funnel, in the sense that once I solve that problem, it's going to uncover the next problem that your product should solve, right? And so an example of this is this. We wrote a book, Bob and Ben wrote a book called Invest Like a Billionaire. If you don't have a copy, we'd love to give you a copy today. Actually, just ask us and we'll give you a free signed copy. This hit number 3 on the USA Today bestseller list. And a fantastic book about alternative investments. And really the problem that we address in the book is it is impossible today, statistically, not theoretically, statistically impossible to create an uncorrelated portfolio, meaning you have investments that are non-correlated to each other so that when the market moves, your portfolio can stay consistently compounding without interruption. It is statistically impossible post-GFC to build a non-correlated portfolio outside of if you only allocate to the public markets. You have to have alternatives in your portfolio to create an uncorrelated portfolio and truly have compounding wealth, right? So the book lays that out. And it says the answer to that, the only way to do that mathematically, is to have alternatives in your portfolio. Well, who has alternatives? Aspen Funds, right? So we reveal the problem that most people want, oh crap, I'm screwed. What do? I need alternatives. Who do I go to? Well, I just spent 3 hours listening to Bob and Ben. Tell me about it. I'll start there. How many calls how much money we raised from this? More than $3 million.
10 plus.
Yeah. Just calling in, read the book. A lot of money from this book. Did it take time? Yeah, it took a year. We spent, probably 80 grand promoting this book. Yeah, what's an excellent book. So we spent a lot of time writing it. We spent a lot of money promoting it. And we've raised 10 million or more, and we'll raise more. Like, this is a forever lead magnet for us, right? So it's a really good ROI. This was my first lead magnet I ever did, Young Ellis, passive investor, due diligence checklist. The reason I think this was a really good lead magnet for me is it revealed, I think I had 101 questions of all the things you should ask a sponsor before you invest as an LP. And what it revealed is, wow, there's a lot of things I don't know about investing. I should probably work with someone, right? And so at the end of the book, I don't know if I show it. Yeah, so at the end of the book, here's what it looked like inside, all the red flags, all the different things. And in the end, it just had a call to action, like go visit ellishammond.com to learn more about working with me, right? So it was a complete solution to a very narrow problem about what I should ask or what I need to know before I write a check passively. And if it feels overwhelming to you, I do this for a living. Come and get to know me, right? So this is one I just built on. I built this watching the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl was so bad. I was like, I'm so bored. What should I do? So I was like, I wonder if I can build an app or build a calculator. So I built a portfolio analyzer. You scan this QR code and it'll take you to the website. This is actually really, really cool. I have you test it. But this is what it is. So it's a portfolio analyzer from the book. So what Bob does in the book and been doing the book is they kind of give you a, based on the billionaire model is what we call it, how your portfolio should be allocated. And so this analyzer just asks you a couple questions. One, what is your financial profile? So what is your net worth? What are your monthly living expenses? Like all these things, right? And there's like a 3-step process. And it's just fill in, you need your liquidity. The next thing is to tell you, like, based on the different asset classes, how much do you have in one? How much do you have in real estate? How much do you have in cash? How much do you have in bonds? How much do you have in the stock market? You click submit, and then it'll show you your portfolio in a pie chart, and it'll show you where you need to move money based on the billionaire model. What happens? I got their email. I haven't actually implemented this yet. We're going to implement this. Oh, that's really cool. I need to be in, most people we know, 2% of retail investors are invested in alternatives. So the likelihood of someone filling this out and not having alternatives is extremely high. And then, so what happens? Well, book a call. Would be the CDA. Book a call with our team to learn more about how to invest in alternatives. So again, complete solution to a very narrow problem is the answer, not incomplete solution to a very big problem, right? I'm just talking about portfolio allocation here. Where are you invested? And this helps solve a problem for someone of awareness. Where am I allocated? Am I gonna, so I probably wouldn't even call this a portfolio analyzer. I'd probably call this like, hey, here's what I know people are concerned about. One of the biggest financial concerns people have, you know what it is? Most folks, their biggest financial concern in retirement is what? Outlive their money. Am I going to outlive my money? That is one of their biggest top 2 concerns. Am I going to outlive my money? So maybe that would be how I'd title this. Are you gonna outlive your portfolio? Check it out. Right? And then it would be a portfolio analyzer. This is another book I did, The Mission of Multifamily. Story. Let's do a quick lead magnet thing. Give me a lead magnet you have right now.
I got one if you want to pull it up.
Okay.
TechRealEstateRoadmap.com.
The Tech Leader's Roadmap to Truly Passive Cash Flow Through Real Estate. So what I really like, even if it's not a good lead magnet, I'm not saying it isn't, I'm just saying what I do like is it calls out your niche, right? It's very specific. It's not passive cash flow roadmap, right? And that's why it's like, I love your niche is like it's so niche I don't even remember it, man. It's like something engineer, military person, right? It's like, because you're calling out the person so directly, whatever you create for them, it feels directly catered to them, right? I love that. And so that's what you're doing here. The tech leaders, even that's a little broad though, right? Like you could go more narrow. What do you mean by tech leader? Who is that? Where do they work? Google, right? Do they work at NVIDIA, right? Like what I would do is I would take 3 versions of this. I would create one for Google, I'd create one for NVIDIA, I'd create one for Anthropic, and then I would just run that on Facebook. And I guarantee you Facebook's advertising is so good that if it said NVIDIA, it would show it to NVIDIA employees, 100%. So the 5 biggest mistakes top talent makes when building passive income through real estate. And so you're calling out problems here, even if you think you diversify with your Vanguard fund. So yeah, I mean, I don't know this niche very well. The first question I was like, you're kind of like down funnel a little bit in the sense of like, you're assuming that they're building passive income through real estate. Maybe they are. If they are, then this is great. So that's pretty interesting. I do like that you're clearly calling out your niche, and you definitely know some of the problems that they have.
It's intended to be for someone who's already bought into the idea of real estate.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah. So they're more of a problem. It's definitely a problem aware audience, and I'm trying to push them to be more solution aware.
Yeah.
Ready, Set, Invest. And I wrote it for an exited entrepreneur.
What is this? The book right here?
That's it right there.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah. So it's written for an exited entrepreneur who wants to be a good dad. Is the premise of the book. So
A high achiever's guide.
But it also, I've done zero promotion outside of just sending it out. There's no download, lead magnet, CTA at all. It's just, it sells 5 copies a month. And
Yeah, here's what you could do, man. I mean, you know, if you have enough, did you self-publish?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you could easily do this and just, you know, run a funnel like this and just give away your book.
okay.
You know, and so this is addressing the problem of like what, we haven't started running this yet, but we just built this where we'll actually just give away. I mean, we have so many freaking copies of this book that I might as well, you know, like it's part of our marketing budget to give away. I know if I can get this in the hands of someone, like I'm probably going to convert, or the chances are pretty good. So
And how do you drive people to this site?
run ads
Ads.
from Facebook,
Okay.
you know? So test it. Like you don't have to run a lot. Do $100 a week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The question is though, and here's why it may or may not be a good idea. I know that we've wrote a complete solution to a narrow problem.
Exactly.
Your book,
Yeah,
if you read your book, does it say, man, I really need alternatives and I should call Dan? Probably not. Right? So then that may not be the right thing. It's just a cool book, which is cool.
Trust, but it doesn't.
Exactly. But if you like to write a different, or write another one, right? And think about it from that lens, and then you could do something like this where you give it away, right? And you turn it into a funnel. Yeah, investlikeamillionaire.org/free-book. I'm gonna wrap up. I do want to show you guys one more thing. The reason I know this works is because, as I shared at the beginning of this talk, is this is me. Like I graduated college, became a Christian, and started following Christ in college, made a decision to follow the Lord, became a full-time missionary, moved to San Diego, California, and didn't think I would do anything different for the rest of my life. I just loved the Lord. I wanted to help other people, young college students, you know, ask some of the biggest questions in life, and really, really enjoyed it. About 4 years into our ministry, we had kind of grown a ministry. We were fully donor funded, fully donor supported, meaning we had to go and ask. I was raising capital before I knew what raising capital was, asking for $100 a month. I thought that was a lot of money at the time. I was joking. I lived in San Diego for $500 a month when I lived there. About 4 years into the ministry, we had, you know, a lot of the guys that we had seen come to know the Lord during our time there were now on staff with us. And so one of the young men, his name was AJ, big football player, played O-tackle at San Diego State University, came on staff with us. Just the dude was just such a teddy bear, man. He was such a fun, loving guy. Everyone loved AJ. You know, he had all these tattoos and long hair, and he just was such a fun guy. And I remember I had just wrapped up a Bible study with some fraternity guys, and I was sitting at the lawn of San Diego State, and I saw AJ, you know, coming across the lawn. He's a big dude, so you could see him from far, you know, a long ways away. And instantly I was like, something's not right with AJ. And so he comes up, and he's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, man, you know, like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And I could tell, like, he was really hesitant. He's like, no. And he said, I don't have enough money this month to buy groceries. And that was like, talk about a turning point for me. That was probably one of the biggest turning points in my life, because at that point in my life, I thought that I was doing the most impactful thing. Like I was maximizing my contribution to society by being in full-time ministry. And what I realized at that time is because here was a guy who'd made a decision to follow the Lord, who was doing incredible work, impacting other young people, and yet had a huge problem in that he couldn't even support him and his family. He didn't have enough money to buy groceries. And I knew at that point in my life, I had to go, there was more to do in life, right? That I couldn't just help people spiritually, I had to help them financially. And I made a decision in that moment to really become wealthy and figure out how to help other people build wealth. And that's when my wife and I started buying real estate and became entrepreneurs. And, you know, it wasn't long where we did well. Like we bought our first duplex. I think from that moment, within about 4 months, we were under contract on our first duplex. Didn't know anything about real estate. And then 12 months after that, we'd syndicated our first apartment building. That was 5 years ago. That was 6 years ago, right? So that wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was a little longer than that. I guess that was 2018. Never mind. Time goes by fast. But the reason I know this works is because this is my story, where I did not have the real estate experience. People did not know who I was. I didn't know much about raising money, but I was so passionate. And I would just tell people that story all the time. And if you're someone that was a faith-driven leader and you're an investor and you're looking for ways to not just create wealth, but make a difference, we should work together. And I just did that for over and over and created lead magnets and spoke to that audience. You know, that is honestly how I grew my business. And so I want to do something really funny. Please don't laugh at this. This is really vulnerable and really stupid. I went to look at my YouTube channel the other day and I realized how many old videos I had. This is the first YouTube video that I ever made. So I'm gonna give you parting advice from young Ellis, okay? Give you parting advice from young Ellis. Remember, this is where I was at that time, very passionate, green behind the ears. And this is him, okay? And this is the last thing I'll give you. Make sure this works.
What's up, LinkedIn? Hey, I just got off the phone with a fellow real estate investor, and I am just reminded about how juiced I get after talking about real estate, after talking about investment practices, about partnering on deals and building financial freedom for one another. And I just wanted to share that with you, really as an encouragement, as a reminder, like, is what you're doing, do you look for opportunities to talk with other industry leaders in whatever you're doing? I just think it's a great sign for me that I'm on the right track because I love talking about it and it really does energize me. Also, if you're in real estate, if you're looking to invest in real estate or you've been investing in real estate for a long time, I'm going to actually leave my calendar under this video, and I'd love to set up a phone call with you. No matter where you are on your investment journey, if you're just getting started or you're just learning about investing in real estate, or you have been in real estate for a long time and you have a massive portfolio, I would love to ask questions to you. And so please click on the link below and let's set up a 30-minute phone call next week. Would be really great. I look forward to talking with you. Do what you love, make it better. Talk to you soon. Bye.
That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Let's go.
How many elites you got?
That was 2019, man. Probably not many, but I always made it a goal to have no white space on my calendar back then, and so it was just the call to action was just book a call.